Hi, Michael Strader with BrightDot here, and I'm really glad that you're back to learn more about the 5 I's of fundraising. We wanted to take a step and dig down a little bit into what those 5 I's actually mean. So the first one we talked about is identification. Pretty much that means, how are you finding new donors? How are you finding more people who want to give to your organization? So you ask yourself, who are the individuals, the corporations, the businesses, the foundations that value what you are doing and the impact that you're making? So who are those? And then how do you determine who wants to give to your organization? Ask yourself, where do you find these people? Well, we always tell clients, your best donors are the ones already in your database who are already giving to you. So let's first look at those in your database. Suppose someone hasn't given to you in 2, 3, 4 years. Is there a reason they stopped giving? I always tell clients, they always want to know, where do I find more donors? Where do I find more donors? And I tell clients that, hey, look in your database first, because the best donor is one who's already given or giving to your organization. So there are many ways you can identify potential donors to you. The second I, the inform part, that basically means, how do you tell your story? One, do you have a communications plan? Do you have printed materials? Do you have brochures? Do you do direct mail letters that go out 6 times a year? Do you have a digital marketing plan that shows your story on your website, on the internet, someplace out there like that? Do you have a storybook? A lot of folks say, what is a storybook? Well, a storybook is a collection of your stories and your successes. Donors want to know, what have my dollars helped you do? And if you can show them 6 or 8 or 10 people who've directly benefited from what you're doing, that's going to go a long way. So how are you sharing that impact with your donors who give to you? Do you have special events? Do you have impact reports? All the creative ways that you can share all the great things you're doing. The third I in this process is called interest, which basically means, how are you finding out about who the donors are and how are you discovering their why? Are you doing discovery visits? Some would call them qualification visits. I've often talked to fundraisers who say, well, I just don't know this idle chit chat back and forth. And I say to them, small talk equals fact finding. So just because you think it's small talk and idle chit chat, you are learning facts about that donor. Are you having event conversations? If you have a golf tournament or a special event, are you using that time that you're face to face with the donor to have this idle chit chat or this small talk? Always have a purposeful conversation with every donor at your events as well. How are you doing research? How do you do research? Do you have a research team on your staff? Do you have one person who does research? Also, are you using social media? You can use social media to find out a lot about somebody at this day and time for sure. The fourth I in this donor giving cycle is involve. In other words, how are you getting your donors involved? There's a few steps in this process you could take. 1, ask for advice. How many of your donors want to share their thoughts and opinions with you? So you know what? Use that to your advantage. Go to them and ask for advice. A second step could be to create a task force. BrightDot feels that a task force implies a short-term commitment. People are going to tell you they're way too busy to be on your board or a long-term commitment, but a task force, 30, 60, 90 days, that's short-term, and a lot of folks will give you time for that. Thirdly, are you identifying connectors? Who can they help connect you with? The fourth step, maybe ask them to provide perks to you. If they have a membership in a country club or season tickets to a professional sports team, will they share that with you that you can use for donor recognition? And the last step could be a survey. Are you asking your donors for their thoughts on various opinions about what you're doing or what your group should be doing? And the last I in the donor giving cycle is invite, which basically means, how are you asking for support? And that's going to depend on the level of gift you're asking for and what your projects you're working on are. First of all, one-on-one visits. Nothing's ever going to replace the value of you sitting down with the donor face-to-face asking for a gift. Secondly, are you leaving a written proposal behind when you walk away from that donor? Also, are you doing direct mail? Are you doing email solicitations? Is there a way on your website that folks can give to you through online giving? All the different ways that you're asking people to give to your organization. Are you doing specific requests for specific projects? Ask yourself, what are we doing? Is it easy for a donor to give to your organization if a gift is $25 or $25,000? You have to make it easy for all the donors to look at. And lastly, don't forget, donors want immediate follow-up. And and the importance of stewardship we'll get into next, but immediate follow-up, and then also a 3-month follow-up too. And that brings us to our last bonus of this process, the S, which stands for stewardship. This is the most important step in the donor giving cycle process. First of all, ask yourself and your team, do we have a stewardship plan or a stewardship program for every size gift that comes into your organization? From the $5 online gift to the $1 million face-to-face gift that you get from sitting with that donor one-on-one. Ask yourself, what are we doing to thank our donors? Every donor wants to be thanked, and it doesn't matter the size of their gift. They all want to be thanked the same way. We recommend 7 thank yous or 7 touch points over the course of a year. And that could take many different forms of fashions. It could be a handwritten thank you note. It could be a board member who makes a phone call to that donor. It could be an impact report 3 months in after the gift. Some ways for you to keep in touch with your donor and let them know the impact their gift makes. Also, BrightDot has a method called the dead skate process. And you may ask, what the heck is a dead skate? That's our way of teaching you to help you show your major donors that you actually know them personally and can do an appropriate stewardship that tells them, hey, these guys know who I am. And lastly, research shows that proper stewardship is the ultimate key to retention and retaining donors year after year. So there you have it, the donor giving cycle, or the 5 I's plus the bonus S of fundraising. Identification, inform, interest, involve, invite, and stewardship. A lot of people may say, this is just basic fundraising. Yeah, it is, but it's fundraising at its core. And each of these steps is critical to you getting larger, major gifts for your organization. BrightDot uses this process as part of our initial assessment with your organization. During the assessment, we'll be able to identify the things that you and your fundraising team are already doing and help you uncover perhaps new opportunities that may lead to larger major gifts for your organization, or maybe even your largest gift ever. If we can help you be more successful in your fundraising and uncover many, many more larger gifts, please let us know.